Hello, everybody. This is Debbie from Teacher Success Coach. I was compelled to jump on because there's a few things I need to talk about. I've just came off a show on celebrating motherhood. Fantastic. You guys go listen, go look at it, because as we know, in terms of how we are seen as women and how we are seen in terms of motherhood and mothers, etc., is a social construct. How society, which we are part of, construct us to think, right? Anyway, that's not what I came on to talk about. What I come on to talk about is some of the things that parents say to their children. Parents out there, I'm also part of that. There's sometimes we say things to our children and we break them. But there are times when we say things to our children, sometimes it is not intentional. Sometimes it's because of our own frustration. And it could also be from our own toxic relationship which we've had. And we're not looking at the impact it has on our children. I was just talking to a teenager just now, and she's the one actually who compelled me to do this program. Oh, she's not even aware that I'm on the show talking about this. And one of the sad thing is how parents say some things to their children. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's through frustration, sometimes it's through anger, sometimes through their own challenges, their own trauma, their own backstory, their own baggages. But one of the things that we need to be mindful of when we say to our children that we wish they were never born, or if we could kill them, we would kill them. Yes, there's some parents saying that to the children. When you say that to your children or your child, you are breaking your child. And it also makes me ask myself, didn't you feel pain in having that child? Today's Mother's Day. On a day as today, those are some of the things we should not be telling our children. That, we wish they were never born. We wish they were never here. We wish, we didn't, we never set eyes on them. We're sorry they came to this world. All these toxic things. We should not have brought them home. All these things. Why are we saying that to our children? Yes, I have an idea why some women would say that to their children, because they are broken or they are in toxic relationships. But even though you're in toxic relationships and you're broken, these are things you still don't say. Even though you're frustrated, these are things you don't say, because what you're doing is you're breaking your child or your children, and they're not broken beings. And what you're doing is you're continuing the cycle of trauma. The cycle is continuing. You need to try to find a way to heal. And when women, I'm talking about women here. When women are saying to their children that, I wish I never had you. You're better off dead. It is sad that you came to my life. Why did I ever put myself through that? Look at my body. My body have changed because of you. Why are you here? Come on. This is coming from a place of trauma from that mother. This is trauma that this mother have never been healed from. So it is now projected onto the children or onto the child. But what you're doing is you are continuing the cycle and you are now breaking your child. We cannot say that to our children, or we shouldn't say that to our children, even though we're coming from that place. We need to start healing ourselves. We need to start looking at the relationship that we are having with ourselves. It would also determine the relationship we have with other people. First of all, the relationship with us. What is the relationship we have with ourselves? We have to be honest about it. We have to call ourselves up on it. We have to honestly reflect as to the relationship we are having with ourselves. And that relationship we're having with ourselves, or we have with ourselves, would determine the type of relationship we have with other people. And if we're having a relationship with ourselves that is an unhealed relationship, that is the same relationship we're having with other people. There is nothing wrong with going into therapy or going into counseling. It's a way of healing ourselves. And especially in the African Caribbean society community, the Asian community, the African community, we seem to feel that we are healed. No, we're not. A lot of the things we are saying to ourselves and we are saying to each other, are we saying to other people, is coming from a place of unhealed. And the relationship we have with ourselves, and then we have relation with other people, it is also coming from a place of unhealed. We need to heal ourselves. We need to constantly be in therapy or in counseling to start realizing some of the trauma that we've got, that we need to start dealing with, and we need to call it out. We need to call it out. There is nothing wrong with going into therapy. There is nothing wrong into going into counseling. There is nothing wrong with that. It's a way to heal ourselves. Sometimes we cannot heal ourselves by ourselves. Sometimes we need someone else to see the things we don't see, and to see the relationship we're having with ourselves. Sometimes we're so into it that we don't see the relationship we're having with ourselves. And sometimes we are in toxic relationship. We don't even realize the relationship is toxic until we step out of it, until someone calls us up on it. We need to start doing some deep healing. To start doing deep healing with ourselves, we need to start looking into ourselves. We need to do some self-reflection and start honestly looking at ourselves and looking at the relationship we have with ourselves. It's a cycle. It goes round and round because we also have childhood trauma. We also have generational trauma, which manifests itself into where we are right now. And it's heavy. It's heavy. Because when you're beginning to tell your children some of those negative things, you have to pause. You have to pause and look at yourself and the relationship you have with yourself. There's sometimes we're coming from a place of unhealed, bruised, damaged. Sometimes we're damaged goods and we cannot even see that we are bruised and we are damaged. But when you're beginning to see that is when you start saying certain things, and you need to pause and reflect on yourself as to, did I say that? Where is that coming from? And you need to start digging deep as to where it's coming from. One of the things I constantly suggest to people, that there's sometimes we need to go into counseling or we need to go into therapy, because sometimes we can't fix it for ourselves. Sometimes it could be co-counseling, co-therapy. There's sometimes you could do, a coach could do that for you. There's sometimes we can't heal ourselves. we need to go somewhere to be healed. Or we need to be quite honest with ourselves. Another way, another healing tools that I use with some of my clients is journaling. Sometimes we need to start unpacking. And sometimes we are able to unpack by going into journaling. We journal, we write, which means that we need to be honest. It's like putting the mirror up in front of us and looking at ourselves in that mirror. Sometimes it's not pretty. It's like looking at yourself in that mirror and hearing some of the things you say to yourself or you say to other people. I am on my healing journey and I've been on it for a while. I am by no means, because there's sometimes things come up and I say, whoa, where did that come from? I have to go back and unpack. And sometimes I have to look at the relationship that I have with myself to determine where I'm going. It's heavy. So when we begin, so women out there, when you start telling yourself negative things and start telling your children negative and toxic things like, you wish they were never born and all these things, you need to realize that there's some things in you that needs looking at. You need to start healing. You need to start unpacking. Whether or not it's through a counselor, through a therapist, using journal, there's sometimes we need to go on that journey, on that self-healing journey. And it's not pretty sometimes, and it's not easy sometimes. But there's sometimes we need to go on those journeys. So we start looking at ourselves and listening to ourselves. One of the most powerful things is listening to yourself, hearing what comes out of your mouth sometimes. And that's why I talk about journaling. Sometimes the more you journal, you need to be honest when you're journaling as well. You're journaling what is coming to you. You're not editing it. You're just putting what is coming out. And then when you start reading when you start reading it back, you say, woo, this was heavy. What was going on at the time? And another thing is pray. Sometimes we need to be praying. Sometimes we really need to pray. Oh my goodness. Sometimes to start looking at yourself and start healing yourself. Oh boy, you need to pray. You really need to pray sometimes. Sometimes when I start praying, it's always, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, there is a lot. But I'm urging you women out there. I'm talking specifically about women because today is Mother's Day. And when, this teenager have actually reached out and was telling me all the things, I felt I needed to come on the platform because I feel that we need to start journaling. There's sometimes you don't want to go into therapy or you don't want to go into counseling. Okay, journal. Be honest with your journaling, which means that you're not editing it. Whatever is upsetting you and whatever is in your mind, you just put it down on the paper. You just journal. Just write. Just write. So because what you're doing is you're taking it out of your head. You're taking it out of your chest, as I would say, the old people would say. You're taking the emotion out and you're just writing it. Just put it on paper. Sometimes your hand gets tired. Just keep on journaling. And then if you are able to look at it immediately or a few days later, you need to look back at it and start the journey of healing yourself. Because sometimes we need to unpack. And unpacking is not always an easy or pretty thing. Because when you're unpacking, you are just taking things out. And there's sometimes you are in toxic relationship yourself. So because you're in toxic relationship, you are giving out toxicity. What you're having, what you're getting, that's what you give out. You cannot give out roses if you don't have no roses to give it. You have to give out what you've got. And there's sometimes when you're giving out toxicity or you're giving out negativity, that's what you've got. You've got to start looking at it. Because when you start giving out negativity, you need to start pausing. And you need to start looking at, where is this negative coming from? There's sometimes you need to start digging deep. It's not easy and it's painful. It is doable, but it's a journey. And I have not met anybody, whether or not they are a therapist, whether or not they are a counselor, who is still not on a journey of healing. Because as we are transforming ourselves, we'll always be on a journey of healing. Because we're human beings. And the things are going to be upsetting us. There's sometimes we need to heal it. Anyway, guys, take care. Stay blessed. And start healing your childhood trauma. Because it's a lot. Especially in the Asian, African, and Caribbean community. There's a lot to heal. And we'll always be healing. We'll always be on that journey. It's never stopped. It doesn't finish as magic. How I was last week, that's not how I am today. Because every day I'm on this journey of healing myself. I know I still have a long way to go. But every day I pray, and every day I journal, and every day I am on my healing journey. Because a lot of us are suffering from childhood trauma or generational trauma or, community trauma. You name it, we're suffering from that. Because we're human beings having a human experience in society. Anyway, guys, take care. And some of the clients I deal with through my counseling or my therapy, it's like they're on a healing journey because they're suffering from challenges as well. They're suffering from trauma, just like I am. We all have traumas. We all have challenges. We all going through a healing journey. Some are far ahead on this healing journey than others. But what I'm saying to you guys, you need to start looking at the relationship with yourself, which will determine the relationship you have with other people. So when you're saying certain things, you need to look at where it's coming from. And you need to pause and say, okay, what is this? What is this coming up? What is this relationship I'm having with me? The most important relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. That's the most important relationship in the whole wide world, is the relationship you have with yourself. Anyway, guys, I'm going now. Take care, stay blessed. Have a fantastic evening, night, morning where you are. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.